Once upon a time, in the golden kingdom of Velora, there lived a queen named Amara, and she was the most beautiful woman anyone had ever seen. Her hair shimmered like the morning sun, her skin glowed like fresh petals, and her smile could make even the saddest heart feel hope again. People from faraway lands traveled for days just to catch a glimpse of her. Songs were written about her beauty. Artists painted her face on the walls of the grand palace. And whenever Queen Amara looked into her magic mirror, it whispered to her, "You are the fairest of them all." But time is a river that never stops flowing. As the years passed, small changes began to appear. A tiny line here, a faint wrinkle there. The glow in her eyes began to dim, like the last light of a setting sun. Queen Amara tried to hide it at first, with powders, perfumes, and jewels. But no matter how hard she tried, she could see it. She was aging, and it terrified her. She feared that if she lost her beauty, she would lose everything: the songs, the smiles, the love of her people. One morning, she stood before her mirror, waiting to hear its sweet words. But this time, the mirror stayed silent. No praise, no songs, only a heavy, painful silence. Tears filled her eyes. Her heart grew heavy with fear and anger. She stared at her reflection, clenching her fists. "I must stay young," she whispered to herself, "no matter the cost. I must stay beautiful forever." And with that one thought, a deep shadow began to creep into Queen Amara's heart, a shadow that would soon lead her down a dark, dangerous path. One night, as the wind howled through the mountains and rain crashed against the palace walls, Queen Amara sat alone by her window. The storm outside was wild, but the storm inside her heart was even worse. She could not sleep. She could not stop thinking about the lines on her face and the silence of her mirror. Suddenly, a cold breeze swept through the room, though all the windows were shut. The candles flickered and almost went out. And then, from the shadows, stepped a stranger. He wore a long, dark cloak that dragged along the floor. His face was hidden under a deep hood. But his voice, his voice was smooth as silk and sharp as broken glass. "Beautiful queen," the stranger said, bowing low, "why do you cry when you could shine brighter than ever?" Queen Amara, startled but desperate, asked, "Who are you? What do you want?" The stranger smiled, though she could not see it, and said, "I have come to offer you a gift. Eternal beauty, forever young, a face that even time will bow before." Queen Amara's heart leaped with hope, but then she frowned and asked, "What must I give in return?" The stranger's hand slipped from his cloak. In it, he held a small, black scroll. The words were written in strange, twisting letters. "Only a small price," he whispered. "Your soul." Queen Amara gasped. She took a step back. A soul was not a small thing. It was everything. She hesitated. Fear clawed at her chest. But then she thought of her fading beauty, the silence of the mirror, the love of her people slipping away. She closed her eyes. "Beauty is worth any price," she told herself. "Even this." With trembling hands, Queen Amara took a silver dagger from her belt. She pricked her finger, and a single drop of blood fell onto the black scroll. The scroll hissed like a snake. The letters burned bright red and disappeared. The stranger bowed again and whispered, "It is done." In an instant, Queen Amara felt it, a rush of warmth through her body. The wrinkles vanished. Her skin became soft and glowing. Her hair, thick and golden, Her eyes sparkled like stars. She was young again, more beautiful than she had ever been. The storm outside faded to a soft drizzle, as if even the skies were in awe of her. But somewhere, deep in the darkness, something ancient and terrible smiled. The next morning, when Queen Amara stepped onto her palace balcony, the kingdom of Velora gasped in wonder. There she stood, young, radiant, breathtaking, as if the years had never touched her. The people filled the streets, cheering and shouting her name. Long live Queen Amara, the fairest queen in all the world. Children threw handfuls of rose petals into the air. Musicians played their sweetest songs. Painters rushed to capture her new beauty on fresh canvases. Everywhere she went, smiles followed her like sunlight chasing the dark. Queen Amara felt powerful again. She wore the finest gowns, shimmering with gold and jewels. She threw grand feasts in the palace, where tables bent under the weight of rich meats and sweet fruits. Fireworks lit up the night sky, and laughter filled the air like music. Every mirror she passed now reflected a perfect face, smooth and shining. Every voice she heard sang her praises. It was everything she had ever wanted. Or so she thought. Because when the crowds went home, when the music faded, when she stood alone in her great, golden room, a strange feeling crept into her heart, a hollow, icy feeling, like winter wind blowing through an empty house. She smiled and waved at her people during the day, but at night her smiles faded into heavy sighs. Her hands trembled sometimes, though she didn't know why. And when she lay in her great silk bed, surrounded by treasures, she felt, somehow, more alone than ever before. Her beauty was perfect. Her kingdom adored her. But something deep inside her had begun to wither, something no mirror could show, and no song could hide. And though Queen Amara did not know it yet, the price she had paid for her beauty was only just beginning to show. At first, Queen Amara believed she had won. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And still, her face stayed young, smooth, and glowing. But soon, little things began to happen. Little things that grew bigger with every passing day. One morning, as she brushed her golden hair, a clump of it came loose in her hands. She gasped, staring at the strands. So many, so fast. But when she touched her face, it was still soft and beautiful. She told herself it was nothing. Just stress. Just the weather. She smiled and pretended not to notice. But the signs grew worse. At the grand banquets, where golden plates overflowed with fruits and meats, people began to whisper. Some said the queen's breath smelled strange, like wilted flowers left too long in the sun. Sweet but sickly. Rotten. The queen tried to hide it with perfumes and herbs, but the smell followed her, clinging to her like an invisible cloak. Then came the animals. Once, birds used to sing on her windowsill every morning. Deer used to come to the palace gardens to nibble from her hand. But now, they stayed far away. The dogs in the palace barked and growled when she walked by. The horses refused to let her ride them. Even the tiniest kitten would hiss and hide under the furniture. Queen Amara felt her chest tighten with fear. Something was wrong. Very wrong. And worst of all, the nights. When she was alone, when no one could see, Queen Amara would sit in her golden chambers and weep. Tears streamed down her once beautiful cheeks. But when they fell onto her hands, they were not clear. They were thick and black, like ink spilling from a broken heart. She stared at her stained fingers, trembling. "What is happening to me?" she whispered into the dark. But no one answered. The magic had given her eternal beauty. But now, something deep inside her was beginning to rot. And there was no going back. One quiet morning, Queen Amara stood before her magic mirror. The same mirror that once praised her beauty. The same mirror that had once sung to her, "You are the fairest of them all." Her heart pounded in her chest. Her fingers trembled as she reached out, brushing the edge of the cold, silver frame. "Show me," she whispered. "Show me my beauty." For a moment, nothing happened. Only her perfect young face stared back at her, just as she wanted. But then, the surface of the mirror began to ripple, like a pond touched by a falling stone. The beautiful reflection melted away, and in its place, something terrible appeared. Queen Amara gasped and stumbled back. There, staring at her from inside the mirror, was a creature. Its skin was cracked and gray like dry earth. Its eyes were hollow, dark pits with no light, no warmth, no soul. Its hair hung in dirty, tangled strands. And where there should have been a heart, there was only a deep, endless hole. The creature opened its mouth, and the smell of rot and sadness poured out. It reached toward her with long, bony fingers. "No!" Queen Amara screamed. "No, that's not me. That's not me." But deep down, she knew. It was her. This was the price of her beauty. On the outside, she wore the mask of youth. But on the inside, her soul was rotting, crumbling, empty. She fell to her knees, covering her face with her hands. But no matter how tightly she closed her eyes, she could still see the truth burned into her mind. She had traded her soul for a mirror's smile. And now, there was nothing left inside her but darkness. The queen's cries echoed through the empty halls of the palace, but no one came. No one could save her now. The magic she had once begged for was now her greatest curse. Broken and trembling, Queen Amara wrapped herself in a cloak and slipped out of her palace. She searched the dark forests, the lonely mountains, and the misty valleys, calling out into the night. "Stranger, please, wherever you are, come back. Take this beauty away. I want my soul back." But the stranger never came. The shadows answered only with silence. The wind howled, but no footsteps ever followed. She was alone. In her desperation, Queen Amara ran to the temples, falling to her knees before the stone altars. She prayed with all her heart, begging for forgiveness. "Please, take pity on me. Save me. I was foolish. I was vain. I see it now." But no light came. No answer. The gods turned their faces away. She tried to give away all her treasures. She filled baskets with gold and jewels and gave them to the poor. She built shelters for orphans and fed the hungry. Her once proud hands, now trembling and weak, served others with tears running down her cheeks. But no matter how much she gave, no matter how many good deeds she tried to do, it was too late. The deal she had made was sealed with her own blood. Her soul was already lost, locked away in a place no riches, no prayers, no kindness could ever reach. Queen Amara had thought beauty would save her. But now she saw the truth. She had traded the most precious thing she had, her soul, for something that faded like a dream. And now, she could never get it back. With the last of her strength, Queen Amara climbed the great steps of her palace. The bells rang low and heavy across the kingdom, calling everyone to gather. The people came, rich and poor, young and old, to see their queen, the one they had once loved and cheered for. They stood in the courtyard, whispering in confusion. Why did she call them? Where was her golden smile? Slowly, Queen Amara stepped out onto the balcony. She no longer wore her beautiful gowns. She no longer hid behind perfumes or jewels. She wore only a simple white robe and her true self. The people gasped in horror. Before them stood not the radiant queen they remembered, but a broken figure. Her hair hung thin and lifeless. Her skin was cracked and gray. Her eyes, once full of light, were now deep, hollow wells of sadness. With shaking hands, Queen Amara lifted her golden crown from her head. She dropped it onto the stone floor. It clattered loudly, then rolled away, forgotten. Tears, black and heavy, fell from her eyes as she cried out in a voice that shook the air. My people, listen to me. Beauty fades. Kindness lasts forever. Do not chase beauty over kindness. It will destroy you. The people stood frozen, the weight of her words sinking deep into their hearts. Queen Amara gave them one final, broken smile. Then, like a dying flower losing its last petal, she fell slowly to the ground. Before their eyes, her body crumbled. Into dust, into ash, carried away by the wind. The courtyard was silent. The gold crown lay abandoned. And only her warning remained, whispered from parent to child, from elder to youth, for generations to come. Kindness, not beauty, is the true treasure of the soul. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories. Turn on your notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.